You can't ride in my little red wagon! Oh hi! Campfire songs without anyone else to sing with aren't that fun, but being able to build a fire is a useful skill, even if you're out all by yourself. Fires can cook food, provide warmth, and even purify water in an emergency. Also, if you have other people, you can sing campfire songs around them. Before I teach you how to start a fire, I want to make sure that you're going to be doing it safely. Even though fire building can be a useful skill when you're on your own, when you're trying it for the first couple times, you want to make sure you're doing so with someone experienced. Also, make sure you're starting your fire in a place that's built to have fires built in it. And make sure there's not any extra flammable stuff inside your fire circle. Fires need 3 things to start and stay lit: fuel, oxygen, and a heat source. If you only have 2, then it's not going to work. For example, this fuel is in the air, but just because there's oxygen and fuel, it's not spontaneously catching fire. On the other hand, if I strike this match, there was oxygen and fuel and a heat source, but there wasn't enough fuel to keep the fire going for very long. Just like a fire needs 3 things to start and get going, there's also 3 types of fuel that you're going to need to use to get your fire going. First is tinder. Tinder is really small stuff that catches fire quickly, but also doesn't burn for very long. So dryer lint, pine needles, paper, and even corn chips like Doritos can make really good tinder. Next up is kindling. Kindling is small sticks that take a little bit longer to catch, but also burn for a little bit longer. And then finally is fuel. Fuel is things like big sticks or even logs. They take the longest to catch, but they also will keep your fire burning bright for a long time. When you start to build your fire, you want to start by putting the tinder in the middle. It helps if you kind of scrunch it all up close together so that when you light it, it will all catch fire. Then you can start to put your kindling around it. There are 3 basic shapes that we use for fire building. A lean-to is when lots of kindling is leaned against a larger piece or stack of fuel. This is especially good if you're building your fire down in a deeper, smaller fire pit. A teepee has one larger piece of fuel upright in the middle and others leaning around it with tinder on the inside. A log cabin is a very sturdy fire structure. You can build up a large log cabin with logs to make a hot, long-lasting fire. You might have noticed that all 3 fire structures are in the shape of shelters. This is because all the best fire structures are shaped like shelters to allow oxygen into the fire. Today, I've chosen to make a lean-to with plenty of tinder in the middle. You can light your fire with a lighter, but I'm going to show you how to safely strike a match. The first thing I'm going to do is choose the spot that I want to light, right here. Then I'm going to get my hands pretty close to that spot so that I don't have to move a lit match all over the place. Finally, I'm going to strike the match away from my body and use it to light as many spots as I can before it burns too close to my fingers. Remember that heat goes up, so you want to make sure to never put the lit match directly under your hand. Campfires can be great for many reasons. They can provide warmth, cook food, and provide a central gathering space for groups of people. They can also be important spiritually. Here's one of my friends to talk about ways that campfires can connect to our spiritual lives.
Hey everyone, my name is Carly and I was on program staff at West River the last 3 summers. And unfortunately my fire building skills aren't as good as Liz's, but I have really learned to be able to appreciate the time that we get to spend with one another around a campfire. For me, there's not many things quite like a quiet night at Vespers or even a loud night at Family Circle yelling campfire songs back and forth with one another. It's in those moments that we're shoulder to shoulder with one another, trying to build s'mores and blocking the smoke from getting in our face, or singing worship songs together, or talking about the worship that we just came from. It's in those moments that we can see the community that we've built and see God working through that community. Sometimes life can be really stressful and overwhelming, but I know for me personally, an evening around a campfire can really help me recenter and go back to making the main thing the main thing. I was thinking back to the countless campfires that I have been able to be a part of at West River, and the one that stuck out to me the most was actually my first summer on staff, and I was acting as a counselor in the 7th and 8th grade cabin, actually with Miss Liz, and it was the Thursday night at camp, and we were just kind of going through roses and thorns of Lanair, debriefing the week, talking about worship and things like that. And it was in such a simple moment like that that I realized the community that this place had already given me in such a short time, and the special moment that was the time we spend around the campfire. That these campers were given a moment they've never experienced before. The staff members and the counselors were too. And it was just a reminder that it was simple. It was a simple moment, and that those moments of simplicity are why campfires are so amazing. Those that know me know that I use music to connect with God in so many ways, so it wouldn't be me if I didn't recommend some campfire music. So Wren Collective, a band that we play a lot at camp, actually has 2 albums that they recorded around a campfire. And one of their most impactful songs is actually called Simplicity. And if you take a listen to it, you'll hear it kind of talk about how God is calling us to simplicity, and that's why I think campfires are such a special thing, because it's quiet and it's just us and the fire and nature, and it's a moment for us to kind of not think about everything else going on outside and just focus on that moment. One of my favorite Bible verses actually says, it's Matthew 18:20, and it says, "For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them." And I think that verse is perfectly fitting for a campfire and kind of puts together these 2 concepts of community and simplicity. And I know with living through a pandemic and these really hard times, it might be hard to find those 2 things, but anywhere you go, you can find a campfire moment of community and simplicity. You don't have to build a giant fire in your backyard. You can take tissue paper and color it orange and put it on your kitchen table. And in that moment, all you need is some stillness, maybe some worship music if that's what you like, and just community surrounded by the people that you care about. 2 or 3 people. It doesn't have to be a whole camp. And it's in that moment that you can have a campfire moment wherever you go. I know we're all missing camp right now, and campfire moments together are one thing that I miss most right now and have been missing this summer. But it is important to remember that we can find those special moments of community and simplicity anywhere we go, even when we're not at camp. But I really do look forward to having another campfire moment with all of you, and finding those moments together and finding those life-changing moments when camp opens back up. I hope everyone's been having a great summer.
My challenge for you this week is to make a gathering place, just like campfires can be a gathering place at camp. If you have a fire pit, you can go ahead and use some of the tips from this video to make a fire with your family. But be creative, just like we've been being creative all summer. Maybe a candle and a video chat is just as good as a gathering place. Don't forget, whatever you do, we want to see it, so send it to the email on the screen. Now, fire safety means that putting out a fire fully is just as important as being able to get it started. I filled this bucket with water before I even started my fire. And now, when I'm done, I'm going to use a shovel to spread out the embers and pour the water over the fire until I know it's fully out. And if I see some embers glowing or can see it still smoking, I'll even get some more water. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm still enjoying sitting at my fire.